When I was growing up, adults tried to tell me that they knew best and that kids should listen to adults because they have more experience and they know what's best for kids. But now that I'm an adult, I've learned that a lot of the things that I was told as a kid were just flat out wrong or flat out lies. Here's 8 of the biggest lies about life that I was told growing up. You'll need this in college. I grew up in a suburban middle class neighborhood where it was expected that most of the kids would end up going to college. And when the kids would ask, why do we need to know long division or why do we need to know how to write cursive, all super valid questions which should be given the time and attention to answer so that kids know why they're doing anything in school. But the shorthand answer that I was given a lot growing up when these types of questions were asked was, you'll need this in college. But it turns out by the time I got to college, absolutely nothing was written in cursive like my elementary school teacher said. I entered into a field where I needed absolutely zero knowledge of long division or fractions, communication. I'm just saying that adults should stop using the shorthand excuse when kids ask a legitimate question that they'll just need it in college. You have to go to college if you don't want to end up working at McDonald's, which I find particularly insulting because my dad used to work at McDonald's. And there's this idea that if you don't go to college, you're an absolute loser, failure in life, and nobody will like you and everyone will think you're smelly. But here I am now. I'm a YouTuber. I studied marketing and communication in college, and while it was useful, $30,000 is a lot of money, and I don't exactly need a college degree to be qualified to talk to you on a camera. If I'm being honest, if I could redo it again, I would rather have $30,000 to start a business or to invest rather than having a college degree. On top of that, there's a lot of good jobs that don't require a college degree. And also, maybe working at McDonald's isn't such a bad thing. My dad worked at McDonald's in the early 80s. He got some McDonald's stocks, and those stocks are still paying our family pretty dang well, if I say so myself. I would have appreciated it more if I was shown other avenues where you could have a career and a fulfilling, meaningful life without a 4-year degree. Because dang, college is expensive now and ain't nobody got time for that. When I was as young as 11 years old and just going through puberty, I developed acne, and all throughout high school, people told me, doctors, parents, that it would go away when I was older. And while I may not have that much acne now, I do have a pimple because I ate some fried chicken the other night. I'm 27 now. My acne only went away when I was 26, and I tried pretty much every single over-the-counter option for acne skin treatment possible. None of them did anything. At worst, they just made my skin drier and my acne even worse sometimes. And the only thing that worked was going to my doctor and asking for prescription-strength acne medication. No amount of changing my diet changed my acne, whether I was vegan, vegetarian, or eating meat. The only thing that mattered was whether I was using prescription-strength medications or not. When I was in college, I started interacting with people in their late 20s and their early 30s. The topic of whether we wanted kids or not often came up, and my answer was always no. And for the people that wanted kids, they always say, oh, you'll want kids when you're older. And now that I'm 27, which is perhaps the prime time to have kids for a guy, I still have absolutely no desire to have kids. And maybe that'll change in the future. I just really don't see it. Look, it's great if you want kids and, somebody's got to continue the human race, but I feel like that person isn't me just because of how much I love my life. I travel a lot. I'm super busy doing tons of things as it is. I love sleeping. I like having a comfortable amount of money doing this. If I have a kid, all of that I love about my life and that I'm thankful about my life goes completely out the window. And people always say that, oh, it's different when you have your own, or you get bored of that stuff when you're older, but I'm older now. Like, people were saying the same thing to me when I was 19, and I still have the same opinion on this when I'm 27. The reality is, marriage isn't for everybody, kids aren't for everybody, so as a society, why don't we stop trying to push this idea onto everybody as if it's best for everybody? You need to make a lot of money to be happy, but nobody ever tells you how much money is enough money. I am not insecure about money in the slightest. I don't make a ton of money. I'm probably just barely middle class depending on the definition. I'll tell you, I make about $35,000 a year, but I get to do it doing something I love, being my own boss, getting to travel all around the world, meet really cool people, and experience really cool things. To me, money is not nearly as important as the experience that I have in life, because you can always make more money, but you can never make more time. The quality of my time is way more important than the quantity of my money. One of the things I do appreciate about my bachelor's degree in communication is that we studied a lot about the things that make people happy. And we also looked at how much money do people need to be happy. And for a household, that number is $75,000 a year. I totally have enough in my life just making $35,000 a year as a single guy making YouTube videos, because even though I don't have a ton of money, I have a ton of freedom. You can't make a living playing video games. When I was a kid, my grandparents, parents, aunts, uncles always told us that you're wasting your time playing a Mario 64 and that you can't make a living playing video games, you're not developing any skills, and all you're doing is rotting your brain. How wrong they were. The bottom line is, people can't predict the future, and things that are true today may not be true tomorrow. If I had continued my video game YouTube channel that I started back in 2012 up until today in 2023, I would probably be making way more money now. My dad specifically would constantly tell my brother and I, as we were eating breakfast at the kitchen table getting ready to go to school, that high school is the best time of life. And that after high school, you don't have as many friends, and all you do is work, 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 work until you're dead like a slave. I went to high school from 2010 to 2014. And I would say I had depression for most of it, but I was only diagnosed with depression in 2014 at the end of it. High school was miserable for me. Because I was such a good student, I was one of those like top 15% or something students at a very competitive high school where a lot of my classmates went to, UC Berkeley, UCLA, USC, Harvard, Stanford, that kind of thing. I purposefully didn't go to a bougie school and went to San Diego State instead and graduated with $0 in debt. What's up? So my high school experience was full of a ton of AP classes. If you're not familiar with AP classes, they're called advanced placement classes, and they're pretty much entire college courses for high school students that are done in half the time as an actual college course. They're kind of nuts. Oh. Grandma just wanted to say hi. I was only getting about 6 hours of sleep a night in high school. I had a very little social life, and looking back, that's probably a big contributor as to why I had depression. Especially growing up as an Asian American, I'm Filipino American. Education and family are number one and number two priorities. And if you can go to a good school that makes your parents look good, that is the best thing that you can do for your family. But if I have to do that at the cost of my mental health and having literal suicidal thoughts as a 16-year-old, I'm gonna say it's not worth it. Don't do it. It's not worth it. I have way more fun in my life now than I ever did in school. I have money now. I am my own boss now. I control my own time now. I only work 4 days a week now. I seriously don't understand how being a depressed high school student or how being a broke-ass, lost college student could possibly be more fun and more fulfilling than my life after school. Speaking of after school, there's often this conversation of figuring out what to do for the rest of your life, which I feel is really unnecessary pressure for high school and college students, and God forbid elementary school students, because it's really hypocritical, because most adults don't even know what they're going to do for the rest of their lives. People really need to stop pushing this idea that your career is the one thing that you do forever until you retire. It's just toxic, because nobody really has careers like that. People jump all over the place, have multiple jobs, have multiple careers, take a year off in the middle of their career. The reality is people change all throughout life. People are constantly growing. People develop different interests, different skills. What I'm doing today may not be what I want to do in 10 years. Asking me what I want to do in 10, 20, 30 years That's just a fool's errand because I can't predict the future. The person I was 10 years ago is completely different than the person I am today, so how could I possibly know what I want to do for the rest of my life? All I know is this is what I want to do right now, and this is what makes me happy right now, and this is what makes me fulfilled right now. So I'm gonna keep doing it right now, and maybe that'll change later. Are there any other big fat lies that you were told growing up? Let me know in the comments below.